Oi, oi, all right. How's it going? I'm Grant, you're you. This is the Doodle Review, and it's Sunday. So that means we're talking jazz. The Sunday Jazz Club is a series in which I, as pretty much a novice to the genre, I take you through a recent jazz album that I've been listening to in the hopes that my somewhat basic interpretation of this highfalutin style make it a little bit less intimidating for you if you are also identify as a novice in the space that kind of just gives you some inspiration to try out something new. Today, the album we're looking at is pretty different to usual. This week, we're looking at a film score. Specifically, we're looking at the score for the Italian indie drama Confidenza, composed by the frontman of Radiohead, the frontman of The Smile, and occasional solo artist Thom Yorke. Confidenza is a recent movie. It dropped earlier this year in 2024 and was directed and co-written by Daniele Lucetti. It also stars Elio Germano in the main role of Pietro, who is a nationally respected teacher who confides a dark secret to a lover that comes back to haunt him later on. And I was only really alerted to this film due to Thom Yorke's involvement in the score, and I've mostly listened to this score on its own as its own album. But I do always like to make the effort to see the movie if I'm going to commit a review to the channel. And an opportunity actually presented itself on a recent flight I took. I was kind of hoping to see challenges, as I'm in a similar boat with the Trent Reznor score, hoping to see the film or the source material before kind of getting my thoughts down. But trawling through the airline's library, Confidenza was the only film that revealed itself to me of any interest. I still don't think I can really count this experience as actually viewing the movie, seeing it in this format, through tinny headphones over the constant avalanche of jet turbines with aggressive cuts that remove any of the kind of spicier parts, through a matte finish privacy screen that's only viewable from one very specific angle. I feel like with all of those things in mind, I've probably seen about 75% of the film. While it's well acted and entrancing in the way that dark European dramas often are, what I saw doesn't, though, make me want to kind of go back and commit another 2 hours to a more purist viewing experience, which is a shame because the reason I watched it, the music, probably suffered the most in how I viewed it. Initially, it felt like barely any of the 36 minutes of score that we get on the album was actually present in the finished film. But in hindsight, I think that my noisy kind of viewing experience drowned out a lot of the subtler cues, and the removal of explicit love scenes and other segments, which my version had about 15 minutes cut in all, probably removed a fair chunk of York's score as well. Nevertheless, I'm glad I saw what I saw because knowledge of the movie's setting and themes really gives context to this unusually classical brassy composition from the man known typically for combining, bleeps and bloops with angelic falsetto and the occasional guitar. With Without giving kind of too much away from the plot or the events of the movie, if you haven't seen it, thematically, Confidenza plays with the nobility and grandeur of central figure Pietro's role within the Italian education system and the respect he has for the institution. And then it juxtaposes that against his own darkness, his secrets, and the overt and covert breaches of trust that eats away from the inside. And this is something Yorke's composition, assisted by Hugh Brunt's orchestration, I think captures brilliantly. They managed to do this through the kind of aforementioned use of classical orchestration, particularly brass, horns, and strings that create this sense of institutional grandeur, while the introduction of Yorke's most Yorkian elements scattered throughout present the fragility, the uncertainty, and the disillusion or degradation of that nobility through the character's actions and paranoia that we see in the film. Ultimately, all of this makes for a great companion piece to the film, doing exactly what great score work does, which is accentuate the depths of the themes and the tone of the character arcs. However, as a standalone listening experience, it's patchy. To be honest, for me, this is a sign of an effective musical score because music written to serve visual storytelling first and foremost rarely creates a compelling start to finish album experience. But that is what I'm looking for when I'm assessing an album on this channel. Tracks like Secret Clarinet, In the Trees, and Silent Scream are just dark, atmospheric tones. And while Nosebleed Nuptials starts in a way that some of my favorites in the set do, it eventually dissolves, as per the themes of the movie, into more abstract and dissonant composition that I'm unlikely to rock on its own terms in the future. With that being said, there are some great tracks here. It's coincidence that I really examined and reviewed the latest from Kahil El-Zabar and his Ethnic Heritage Ensemble, because many of the highlights in this set really actually embody the earthly organic jazz tones that spoke to me on that record, opened me a higher consciousness of sound and spirit. And the review of that will be in the description. I'm thinking specifically of the piece Prize Giving, which has this very hollow drum sound that feels earthy, real, and live, coupled with an unclipped snare sound, which adds a real richness to the groove and sets the perfect rhythm for the central double bass and trombone melody that's harmonized by Yorke's ethereal vocal tones. Bunch of Flowers and On the Ledge also fantastically capture this vibe, and it's this trio in particular that make me curious to hear more compositions from Yorke in this vein in the future. Additionally, there are some vocal fronted pieces as well. Four Ways in Time, I think, is my favorite, being mostly cello and violin led. It has a real kind of solemn nature, and Yorke's classic vocal tones harmonizing with himself add a real catharsis to the set. Knife Edge is also effectively emotionally, but melodically, it kind of reminds me a bit too much of Old Lang Syne to be one I'll really look to come back to. So, overall, Confidenza is a very thoughtful and effective score that does a great job, I think, of speaking to the themes of its source material. But as an album experience, only 4 to 5 songs would really compel me to return. And again, this is great for a score, but not so much an album. I'm going to knock it on the head and give this one a 5.8. That's just what I think, though. Let me know what you guys are saying in the comments. Give me your thoughts. Let me know how you feel about this latest one. Am I right? Am I wrong? Check out the description below for lots of related reviews. And if you can be asked to do all that, you may as well subscribe. Stick around, share some thoughts, show some love, or just hold some abuse in the comments. And I'll see you in the next video. Right. If you're here and you've seen a few of my videos before and you're planning to watch more, this message is specifically for you. I'm looking at different ways to kind of take this very small community, and I appreciate it's very small, out of YouTube in some way, shape, or form. And so I want to hear from you. If you email me, doodlereview.club@gmail.com, and list the name of this video in your subject line, that's doodlereview.club@gmail.com. Send me an email. I will send you something cool, and you'll be first in line for whatever I'm cooking up to kind of go somewhere different. I don't know what that is yet, but you'll find out. Other than that, nice one. Take care. Mind how you go. Cheers, mate. Bye.